Okay, Chair, it's all yours.
Thanks, gang. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. A little bit of a different background today here as I'm back in the office. Wanted to say a couple of things first. Sorry for being a little bit late, but we're here to get started as close to on time as we can. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order at 3:03 p.m. today. And then if we can go to our vehena first, and then we'll do roll call after. Mahalo. So, Senator Keokalole, you want to go first, or?
It is my pleasure to introduce our distinguished kumu from the windward side, Kawai Kapua Kalani Hewitt, for today's vehena. Mahalo.
You're still on mute, Kumu.
Okay, I will unmute again.
Oh yeah.
Aloha mai kākou.
Aloha.
Mahalo nui loa for having me today. No ka vehe ana no a kamana'o. Mahalo Senator Keokalole. Wahi ina mona no ka no'o ana. Food for thought. And I'm going to give a short oli and a short explanation based on the word kupu. Kupu, which is to sprout. Kupu, which is to grow. Kupu, which is the root word of kupuna. You see, kupuana becomes the growth process, and it goes like this. Kupuana, kupuana, kupuana e, kupuana la ike kupuna e, kupu keiki. E opio e, kupu ka opio he makua e, kupu ka makua e kupuna e, kupuana, kupuana, kupuana e, pili na kupuna ina au makua e, pili ponono me ke apua e malama kapo I ka pono e malama I ka pono o Hawaii nei e malama kapo ina kupuna growing and growing and growing into the kupuna. It starts when the keiki becomes the opio, the teenager. The teenager grows, becomes the makua. The makua grows and becomes the kupuna. It is a growth process. And at each level of growth, acquiring knowledges of keiki, knowledges of opio, knowledges of makua, and knowledges of kupuna. And in the pono, the kupuna, who have acquired all these knowledges and all this growth, they are the closest to the aumakua. Because we on this journey, we were born into this world through the process of Hawaii, through the Hapai, through the Hanau, through the Hanai. We elevated with each and every growth process, so close to the realm of the Aumakua and ultimately the Ahua. So it says, let's malama, let's nurture that process of growth that connects us to the next level of elevation, the Aumaku, and then the next into the Akua. Let us malama this pono, this order, this protocol of our kupuna, and let us nurture and honor, of course, our kupuna. This is the message of this Oli. And I like to end with sharing in Olelo Noeau that goes like this. Kapo nui ho'o lako lako. Ke au nui ho'o hema hema. Let me repeat that one more time. Kapo nui ho'o lako lako. Ke au nui ho'o hema hema. Ke haka mana o ke lo ololo noeau no na bo e kupuna. Well, kapo nui ho'o lako lako is, you see, the aumakua speak to the kupuna in many, many ways. Through the dream, the moi uhane, through the ulaleo, the spirit voice, and the akaku, the visions, as well as the ho'ailona. They are gifted with all of this insight, enlightenment that come through the po via the many ways. Now, what happens is, ke au ho'o hema hema, everybody ho'o hema hema with the ike of the kupuna. You see, they don't use it correctly. They don't follow the natural order. And these are the words of the kupuna, not mine. They said that before I was even born. They said, kapo ho'o lako lako. When you have all this vision and all this enlightenment, use it correctly, use it wisely. Ke au ho'o hema hema. The light will shine on you and you never do the right thing. Ho'o hema hema no. I want to thank you all for allowing me to be here today and sharing some Ike Kupuna. I started at Windward College in 1979. I'm still here at 2022, still teaching. Olelo Hawaii, Amikamele, Kahako ano kamele, Kahula, Oya Ho'iha. So, Senator Kehokalole and all of the members of the commission. Mahalo anuiloa, no ke ia manawa, no ka vehe ana no ka manao, wahi ina mono no ka no o ana. Mahalo nui ka po, aloha.
Mahalo ia aloha. So it's always a rough transition for me as chair to go from something like that to roll call. But here we are. You know, not here. I'd like to go ahead and do our roll call. The chair is present. Commissioner Ani Benham.
I'm present and I'm all alone.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Bento is excused. Commissioner De Silva.
Aloha. Ia wau ma'anei, by myself. Mahalo.
Commissioner Hussey.
Present and here by myself.
Commissioner Keokalole.
Aloha, present and here by myself.
Mahalo. Commissioner Lund.
Present and by myself.
Commissioner Onishi.
Present and by myself.
And Commissioner Pu'u.
Aloha, present and alone.
Mahalo. Hey, we almost had one. Almost clean house today. Almost full house today. Thank you for making the time, as always, to the members of the public who join us as well. Thank you for making the time to be on this journey with us as we continue to prepare for and plan for the 13th Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture. I think, Aaron, you might be able to chime in here a bit, but got a healthy dose of kuleana this morning here at the Hawaii Tourism Authority with a special guest that we had. And I am definitely still processing that experience. So forgive me if I seem like my brain is somewhere else. Lots to digest from a very, very wise kupuna that got to visit us today. So Aaron, do you want to add anything to that? Aaron was with us. Okay.
No, I think we both have to process. And Senator Kehokalole knows as well that Sir Hirini Moko Mead, who is with us and very, very good friends and family of many of us in Hawaii, and has, just a hanauna that is incredible doing work on behalf of Tangata Whenua of Aotearoa, is spending some time in Hawaii. He turns 96 soon. And so he came to, as in his words, warm up the relationships and is spending some time with us. So yeah, much mahalo for that.
Indeed. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor now for public testimony on any of today's agenda items. Members of the public, if you'd like to testify, please go ahead and turn on your camera and let us know. All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next agenda item. Members, if for your consideration, approval of the August 15th meeting minutes, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Benham.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Keokalole. Any discussion, members? Any corrections? All right, hearing none. Thank you, members. Go ahead, Commissioner De Silva.
I just noticed Paula Carr's last name is C-A-R-R instead of K-E-R-R.
Oh, thank you. Mahalo for that. Our apologies. Okay. Any other comments, questions, corrections? If not, I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Chair votes aye. Commissioner Aniben.
Aye.
Commissioner De Silva.
Aye.
Commissioner Hussey.
Alamai, aye.
There we go. Commissioner Keokalole.
Aye.
Commissioner Lum.
Aye.
Commissioner Onishi.
Aye.
Mahalo. And Commissioner Pu'u.
Aye.
Mahalo nui. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 4. If members had any permitted interactions outside of the venues committee meeting that met on September 21st at 10 a.m., please go ahead and let us know now. If not, we'll go ahead and cover the contents of that meeting in that permitted interaction later on our agenda item number 8 relating to the venues and programming committee. All right, I'd like to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 5. I had originally intended to put as a one-stop shop, for lack of a better term, all of the decisions that we have made to date. But in some consultation, I've been advised that that's probably not the best way to go about it. And so I'm going to actually ask the commission that we defer permanently number 5 and not use a formal resolution as the means by which to record all the decisions to date. And so that's my recommendation, but open the comments, questions, Mana'o. Because basically the problem then becomes is every time we make a new decision, you got to go back and amend that thing. So we're going to stay away from the reso if that's okay. Elise, do we need to make like a motion to defer the thing, or can we just defer it?
Let's see, it's on the, you can just defer it. I mean, you're not
We don't
even
intend
gonna
to bring
take
it back.
Yeah, so yeah, you can just defer it.
All right, if I have the ability to unilaterally defer it, then here we go. And I think we all agree, so mahalo for that. Moving on to the festival director's report, which is agenda item number 6. Aaron, the floor is yours. Mahalo.
Thank you, Chair. So a quick festival director's report today, as the admin committee wasn't able to meet owing to some scheduling, scheduling all of us together at the same time. Let me talk through some of the logistics that we've been working through. Website continues to be worked on, where we should be ready. I mean, as I change the calendar, will be definitely done by the end of calendar 22, but I think we'll be done sooner than that and ready to launch. The social media strategy also, I think this commission will be very pleased with what students at the Academy for Creative Media, UH West Oahu, are designing on behalf of FestPAC. And so we're not quite ready to present that to the commission yet, but we will. Hopefully by the October's meeting, actually. We've also started to work on the culture focal points and the blogging for the website, and some of that will appear on the social media posts as well. And so for those commissions who have been involved with the festival, please don't shy away if you are reached out to and invited to write a blog for the FestPAC. And that blog really, it can be on a number of topics, a memoir, a particular memory, your experience with FestPAC, et cetera, the power of Hawaii to host programming, et cetera. That's really up to each commissioner to bring his or her individual and authentic voice to the engagement with the public. The programming outline is almost ready. I do have a draft of it, but did not present it to the Venues and Programming Committee. And so it's better to come through that committee before coming to the full commission. Regarding venues, we should be ready to MOU with Bishop Museum and UH fairly soon. So Paul and I have met. I've also met several times with the president's office at UH. There are some questions that I'll work through with the venues committee that we need to just answer, as as you can imagine, with UH and their questions about liability, etc. And so those details will come through committee. Let me just talk through my experience with the Pacific Island Conference of Leaders, which happened last week. 17 Pacific nations were present through heads of state or cabinet ministers. I made several update presentations on FestPAC and met with several leaders one-on-one to discuss both their expectations of us as hosts, but also to talk through potential opportunities to provide joint support. And as you can imagine, everybody really is continues to be really excited. On one hand, that the festival will happen, but on the other, just an engagement with Hawaii, engagement in Hawaii. And so Hawaii, continues to be a really exciting plan for these nations. I travel to Suva next week. I'll be gone from the 2nd through the 9th of October with a series of robust meetings with the SPC. I'll be meeting with land resources, biosecurities. I'll also be meeting with the Pacific Island Forum, the Fiji Arts Council, who is responsible for the Fiji delegation, and the Itaukei Affairs Committee as well. And so the goal of this meeting was really to assure that I understand what SPC's requirements are for biosecurities, for land resources, et cetera. The SPC has offered their support for us to that end as well. And so we are almost done with our document on biosecurities that should go out to the Pacific. I'm going to work that through with the SPC's biosecurities division next week. I'll bring that back to the admin committee, and we'll get that out soon thereafter, as soon as it's approved by committee. I'm not sure if the full commission, if chair wants the full commission to approve that document. Ultimately, this is the #1 thing, followed very quickly by travel visas that the Pacific is concerned over. Commissioner De Silva has brought this up numerous times, and it's twofold. On one hand, assuring that we can bring in the things that, or we can accept things that the Pacific nations want to bring in, what we can't accept, et cetera. But on the other, making sure that the things that they bring in, they can then take back. For instance, Heremwana from French Polynesia has, wants to make sure that the to'ere they bring in, they can take those to'ere back, et cetera. So we'll work on the biosecurities. I'll bring that document to the admin committee. I want to, on the topic of that travel to Suva next week, I want to thank the Arts Program Coordinator, Eric Chang, and the East-West Center Arts Program for their support of that. It's funding that was provided by Barbara Smith. And so I want to thank Eric for affording that funding for me to travel to Suva next week. We'll make sure that that's noted as we start to intake funds. I know that in Tenakwe Mikitai, we are preparing for a Aotearoa visit in November. And so I do have a question of chair and the commission. Is it okay for the commission and chair that I just work with Paula and Mikitai to plan that event, or how involved does the commission want to be as we prepare for Aotearoa's visit?
Members, Mana'o, thoughts?
Chair.
Mr. De Silva.
Hi, Mikitai. Aloha. I think that it would depend on what it is that the Aotearoa delegation needs. If it's just logistical things, then I think probably Aaron could take care of it if that's good for the commission. And then to just note that it wouldn't be the time that we could promise anything to them, but it would be the time where we would share, you know, we would share what we have planned, and they would also share their sort of requirements, their requests, what they would like, and then you know, for that to work towards a common agreement of the accommodations and what you guys need for Aotearoa, because I know that they are, number one, self-funded, and number two, they have a large delegation. Number three, they're self-contained. Their delegation is pretty much self-contained. And number four, they're very good guests. So mahalo.
Members, any other mana'o? Seeing none, then Aaron, I'm good if you act as our liaison between the
Okay.
Aotearoa New Zealand delegation and Hawaii.
Will do. Thank you. So thank you, Mikitai. So I will reach out to Paula and Mikitai to set up initial meetings to start planning what November will look like. My understanding is they will be on the ground with us the second week of November. The actual dates, I'm not sure. And then one final thing, and so in preparation for the Pacific Island Conference of Leaders, PICL, I was able to sit with President Susie Vares-Lum of East West Center as she prepared for her own trip to Washington, D.C., where she is now. And during PICL, I was able to sit with the Deputy Secretary of the Interior and for a few moments with the Deputy Secretary of State. And we started talking about FestPAC quite in depth. And PICL was able to set those conversations up. And so President Vares-Lum is in DC now, continuing to rejoice the potential of Hawaii to as host for the Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture. She's sort of preparing the path for a delegation of us to go to DC. And so now I come back to the commission. I think it's something that we really do need to plan, and fairly soon. My thinking is that after Aotearoa's visit in November, we probably should get on a plane to DC quickly thereafter. I want to acknowledge, I know Chair called for this earlier, but I just want to make a quick acknowledgement that Commissioner Benham and Commissioner Kehokalole were with us were with me in preparation for that meeting. Commissioner Kehokalole had to step away before Susie was able to join us. But we did talk about SPC's offer of support, robust quote unquote support to us as hosts of FestPAC, insofar as we need them, and then that then led to a meeting with Susie in preparation for her travel to Washington DC. So several different things. Apologies for the confusion of that, but on one hand we talked about SPC and their support, the FestPAC working group and their support, and then that led to a meeting with Susie, Commissioner Benham, and myself, talking about Susie's impending visit to DC. My understanding is that she's been quite successful talking with institutions like the Smithsonian. And so I think if we can get a small delegation together to go and sort of seal the deal with several of these entities at the federal government and these national institutions that support creativity and the arts, I think now's the time to plan that trip. We certainly don't have to decide the dates today, but I'd like to work with Chair and particular commissioners to put those dates together.
Thanks, Aaron. As far as I'm concerned, this commission already approved that trip and a max ceiling for the budget to support that trip. So as long as you work within those budget constraints that were established by the commission, and unless anybody's got any mana'o that's changed, please go ahead and proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Will do. And that will conclude my
okay.
report for today. Yeah, sorry, sorry, Chair.
Sorry, I wasn't sure. I was like, are
Yeah.
we late closed? Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Members, questions for the festival director? Senator, well, see, now you threw me off. Senator Kehokalole, I'm gonna change your title mid-meeting.
This might be an admin committee question, but I thought I recall. I thought I recall some discussion about a presentation on workflow and budget.
The Gantt chart, yeah?
Right.
Excuse me, Commissioner. So I did present the calendar to the end of through 2024 at the last meeting. In terms of budget, my understanding was that we were going to set the current budget as the fundraise goal, but that the budget itself continues to be, moving. So it continues to be a work in progress. We have started to, well, I should say that I am probably 3/4 of the way through sussing out the real numbers, closer to real numbers for the festival village. And then in conversations with the venues committee, talking about the opening ceremonies, et cetera. And so to Commissioner Hussey's point, asking about realigning the budget according to these particular events, that's what I'm working on now.
Okay, I'm gonna voice my concern about timeline,
Okay.
so that it's noted for the record. To my knowledge, the only commitment of funds toward operation of this festival was the state money that was allotted several years ago that has been encumbered in existing contracts. And I am concerned with your specific workload through the end of the year, and our ability as a commission to assist in meeting fundraising goals.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Commissioner, I'm not sure how to respond to that, other than to acknowledge it.
Well, I think, Chair, I think I would like an item on the next agenda to talk about onboarding more fundraising support. Because I didn't hear anything, respectfully, Aaron, I didn't hear anything in your report that did not seem important enough that you should be doing it. But I remain very concerned that there are no other funding commitments besides the state money that was allotted several years ago.
Other commissioners, other mana'o? Commissioner Onishi.
Yes, I also am concerned that we don't fall into the same problem we had with trying to do the last to organize and have the previous scheduled FestPAC. That being said, I think it is my suggestion that our currently approved budget be established as the fundraising goal. I particularly am committed to helping Aaron move forward with our efforts to try to put out some form of document that provides clear details in sponsorship or sponsorship opportunities for FestPAC. I think that is really important. I think that's what people are waiting for. It's something that Senator English and I tried to work on while we were trying to organize the last FestPAC schedule. I have my own ideas. I know I've spoken with Aaron. The efforts, I think, at the federal level, I think are promising. I have also at NCSL made some contacts with people within the federal government, within the State Department that were at NCSL, which is our National Legislative Conference, to talk about how important FestPAC is, not just to Hawaii, but to the US. And, the role that the US, whether it's State Department or Department of Interior, needs to step up their game in terms of supporting FestPAC now for Hawaii's hosting, as well as in the future, and to allow for, our representation to FestPAC be more of a nationally supported event, not people in Hawaii trying to scrape up dollars to represent the Hawaii and the US. I think this is such an important thing for us to be active, willing, and financially supportive of FestPAC and our relationships with all of the other countries that are involved in FestPAC. So I think Jared and I, being legislators, always look at, okay, where's the money coming from, right? And do we have money? Can we make commitments? So I think, I agree with Aaron that we should be following up with after Susie's visit to DC and put in the formal requests, try to get formal commitments, engage even deeper our congressional team in supporting us, as well as those contacts within the Department of Interior and the State Department. And, just today, I think, right? There was a large meeting with about 10 prime ministers or other leaders of 10 of the Pacific Island nations in New York or in DC, talking about US commitment to the area and support of the area. So, I think we are at a critical juncture, and that we need to be there to put forth this ask, and how much importance FestPAC has to solidifying this, us all being one family in the Pacific. And I know I brought this up before. I really believe that especially our Northwest indigenous people, including Alaska, need to have a role in representing the US. How? I don't know, or to what extent they want to be. But I really believe they need to be invited. And I think they have a place in our Hawaii, event here. So just my thought. So I agree with you, Jared, that we need to move forward and really start getting some funds in that are not just the state's money.
Thanks, Commissioner Benham.
Commissioner Onishi, I want to kaka'o what you just said on three fronts. First, I agree with you that the current budget as it sits at about 20 million should really be a fundraising goal. And that is something that we should all agree on. That gives Aaron some parameters, that gives us, some legs to get out there and say, we're going for this, it's for this, for this. It can be fluid, right? Because it will be fluid for a while, but I definitely think that's an excellent idea and key to moving forward on fund development. I don't know that we, Aaron, you can respond to this, have done a complete job of in-kind, because there has been a lot of in-kind contributions as well to get us to where we are right now. And so we really need to recognize that as well. In the conversation that Aaron and I had with Susie, she was extraordinarily supportive of supporting FestPAC in her visit this week to Washington, D.C., which is Anapisi Week. At D.C., we have a number of people in D.C. right now. Are you there, Commissioner Hussey? Are you here? You're here. So there are a number of people there. She has with her some information, some talking points about FestPAC and our follow-up with her contacts there is going to be extremely important. And I do agree with you, Rep. Onishi, about us really going across the board and looking for the resources, the investments, if you will, in FestPAC for the health and well-being of our blue continent. So kaka'o, that I don't know what we would need to do, Chair, to make that standing budget that we approved, that a year, 2 years ago, as a budget goal, as a fundraising goal? Do we need to do something?
So members, I think what I would share, quite respectfully, but I don't know why we're having this discussion about a goal or what the budget is or isn't until this commission changes the budget. The budget's already been approved at 20 million. So as far as I'm concerned, it's the law of the land as the commission has voted. So Aaron, in my estimation, that's the goal, that's the budget. And unless this commission takes further action to amend the budget, the 20 million budget stands as of September 26th, 3:40 p.m. So I think you've got all the, support, I guess, in my mind, of organizing your fundraising against the budget that's been approved. Again, unless this commission takes action to amend the agenda, which we know we will have to do from time to time. But as far as I'm aware, that's the last amount that we had approved. So I just kind of offer that up, that I don't think we need to. And I mean, if others feel strongly, I don't believe we necessarily need to set a goal since the budget was already approved. Commissioner Hussey.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to chime in. I don't think I was here for the $20 million approval, but doesn't matter. I would say that with my hat of a potential other funding agency, I would need a lot more detail than just 20 million. We would need details as to what events this are these contracts, are these for personnel? So with that perspective, I would need a lot more detail in order to advocate for funding from other sources of funding and to the magnitude that's needed, more than what that entity's previous, commitment was. And then I would say that even though it's good enough for fundraising, I don't think it's clear and detailed enough for monthly, quarterly management of resources and all the sources that are coming in. The in-kind is very valuable, but unless you have a consistent way of quantifying that in-kind and what value you are foregoing, or what costs are you foregoing because of this in kind, or, you know, any of that. I would say that I'm not as comfortable putting forward any of the details or support unless I see those details. And that has nothing to do with not trusting Aaron or any of the people working on it. It's just, I think it's the accountant in me that just is like, okay, 20 million has a lot of commas and a lot of zeros. Where is that 20 million going? Because aside from state money, we have donor money that we need to be accountable. So I would like to support, you know, the continuing effort to gain clarity at various levels, high level as well as the granular level, so that we can support the efforts accordingly.
Yeah, thanks so much, Commissioner Hussey. I just want to remind commissioners that this was the pitch deck for fundraising, version 5, that we had gone around utilizing. And so in terms of the framework by which we had organized our thoughts around how to secure sponsorships, we did note 700,000 as our title sponsorship tier. We also noted a presenting sponsor at $500,000, again, detailing what you would get for that tier. When we had these smaller levels, Kahua, Malama, and Kokua as other tiers, 250, 150, and 100. And then we went Kako'o, Ko'oko'o, and Limahana as smaller level tiers. And again, acknowledging with the bullets beneath them, the benefits of the sponsorship. And so at a very basic level, we've had for quite some time. And I think the logo on this pitch deck should be an indication of just how long ago we had these tiers set up. So I want to say that we're not starting from scratch. I think it's busy for all of us, and sometimes we forget the continuity in the last how many years of planning. But as the chair and as the, you know, one of the commission members here that's been on since the beginning, shout out to those of you that have been here the whole time. We remember having these discussions, and so, you know, Aaron, when you're ready, you know, we can start with this, right? I think that these tiered sponsorships are really a way to, again, demonstrate the value for the sponsorship. Again, totally sensitive to, we got to demonstrate the value. This is big money. To your point, there are lots of commas and lots of zeros, but we can start to articulate what it looks like. And then I think as the programming committee finalizes some of the actual like marquee kind of events, we can look at the opportunity to, you know, have title sponsors for the welcome ceremony, a title sponsor for the closing ceremony, a title sponsor for the, you know, food security symposium, or, you know, whatever the myriad of things that we decided in the programming that exists. And then there are a lot of other opportunities for official airline sponsors, official hotel sponsors, official credit card of, you know, if you want to be the logo on the lanyards, or, you know, whatever it may be. I think we have a lot of assets, as it were, as a festival by which to build fundraising. So I just share this for context. Malo. Any other mana'o? If not, I would recommend that we place on the October agenda. Commissioner Benham, I'll come right back to you. But I do recommend that we do something on the agenda for October, regardless, on this budget topic and fundraising. Commissioner Benham.
No, I was pointing to Commissioner Onishi. He just happens to be over there.
I gotta look to this side of my Hollywood Square. Commissioner Onishi.
Chair, if you could you also, can you send out both documents to all the commissioners? Both documents. That document as well as the budget that we had approved.
Happy to.
So that, because the budget is already broken up into various areas.
Yes.
And so it gives some detail to where the expenses are. And although, like, for example, opening ceremony, you know, it hasn't been fleshed out as to how much chairs and tents are going to cost us, how much food is going to cost us. But, you know, I mean, we have some general figures as what was the estimated costs. And, you know, that's kind of where we're starting from, is that, you know, hey, you know, if the Smithsonian wants to be the sponsor for the opening ceremony, whatever, you know. I mean, those are the opportunities I think that we can pitch, and you know, those are the estimated costs, and obviously not detailed enough to say, you know, is this true or not true? But you know, that's a starting point.
Happy to. Just for our awareness, if I'm not mistaken, this is the last draft that was approved. So I'll make sure it matches the official one that was in the packet that we did vote on. But I see Jamie nodding, so I feel a little bit confident that this was what we had described. It broke us out into 2021, 22 to 24 and beyond. And really, you know, Commissioner Hussey, to your point, started to try to articulate, you know, staffing and salary costs, travel, some of the ceremony and protocol, programming, operations, et cetera. And so happy to distribute this to all members following conclusion of this meeting. We'll go ahead and share both documents so everybody can kind of orient themselves to this. And then we'll go ahead and agendize it for the October 17th meeting.
Thank you.
Happy to. Commissioner Pu'u.
Hi, I just have a question, and I know I haven't said much because I'm still absorbing a lot. But you know, sharing the budget. So I do have a question because I realize that the scope of this work is so huge. So do we have a fund development manager and grant writer on staff that would, because I feel like the fundraising thing is a huge task in and of itself, along with everything else. So do we have those people on board to support just the fundraising piece?
You know, when you're around someone for a very long time and you hear them repeat things, my board chair, George Cam, is fond of saying, right on the kinipopo. And you were right on it. No, we do not. And it's something that we've discussed at the admin committee level. And really, quite frankly, we're constrained by resourcing to be able to hire that. I know Senator Keokalole was going to meet with Director McCartney to see if there was a possibility in freeing up some HTA funds that we had set aside that could support that. And I think that those are evolving conversations is the best and politest way I can put it. But no, you know, we recognized, and I think we discussed this last meeting, that Aaron, we recognize that you alone cannot do this festival planning by yourself, and that we really have to your point, put the resources in place to be able to do that. And one of them is support for fundraising. And so I think that that's something we need to push on. Because to your point, it creates more resources, right? It's an investment that allows us to get, I hate to use a Western term, ROI, but it helps us really to build the fundraising that we need, because we need somebody doing it who's good at it, has the right skill sets, and can do it. Sorry, that was a very long way of saying, yes, we need to do it.
Mahalo.
Any other Mana'o questions for Festival Director Salah?
I have one on a somewhat different topic.
Okay,
Partially
let's go
related.
ahead. Please proceed.
Okay, I can't remember where the conversation came up, but I remember bookmarking it. I think it's the SPC. One of them has been more and more engaged as you have begun taking on this role of engaging with all the different parties in the Pacific. Was it the SPC? And that was a potential avenue for future funding, right?
Funding for future funding, yes.
Okay.
Part of the, let me just talk a little bit. Part of the
Yes.
strategy of the FestPAC working group is to establish a fund that travels with the festival. And so for future funding, yes. What the definition of that future is remains to be seen. But yes.
And so wait, so that's the same, or because I get them all confused, so please excuse me. But that is the same organization. Well, I mean, this is their festival. They put together the manual and now are actively engaging and potentially interested in putting together some sort of permanent organizational apparatus that will move with the festival. Okay.
Correct.
would it be appropriate to offer, or would the commission feel comfortable and feel it appropriate to ask them to participate on this commission in either a formal or informal manner? Because if they are seeking greater engagement, then at the commission level, that does feel, I remember feeling that might be something that we as the commission should be taking taking attention to, seeing as how the engagement with the festival director has grown.
I'm gonna do two things. Commissioner De Silva, I see you ready to jump on and touch this point. I will say this, I want to be very careful though, that the work of this commission does not get distracted from our goal. Our goal is to host a safe and successful 13th Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture. And I really need to prioritize that work here on this commission until August of 2025. I really, quite frankly, we are all anxious about the time frame that we have. We're sitting at the end of September of 22. We will have folks on the ground here in Hawaii very shortly. So unless it's something directly related to implementation of the festival, I really want to save this space and this commission for that work. That would be my mana'o, but just one voice. But yeah, Commissioner De Silva.
So Commissioner Kehokalole, it is a very complicated framework that we work within. So the SPC is the overall kind of mother organization, and they do a lot of things. And under the SPC comes the what we call CPAC, the Council of Pacific Arts and Culture. And it's actually that council that that oversees the festivals. So the SPC, they're more like they're the enablers. They have all the interpreters, they do all the meetings, but they don't run the festival, and they're not the organization that that created the festival manual. It's the Council for Pacific Arts and Culture, and the working groups that come out of that council that have created the festival manual, and now the working group for the festival. And it's that organization, that council, that's also looking to make positive changes within the council in order to have funding continuity and funding from festival to festival. In the past, right up until this festival for Hawaii, each country has to fundraise their own entirely. The SPC will support, in the funding area that they support is they bring in the interpreters, they run the meetings during the festival time and between festivals. And so that's where their support comes in. They're there to help us with anything that we want them to help us with, but they're not there to help us make those decisions. They want us to make all the decisions, and they want us to figure out, like, if we need help in getting all the biosecurity item list to the countries, they'll help with all of that, but they don't want to be part of the decision-making group. That's not their purpose. Did it help? Do you have any more questions?
I mean, that sounds more technical in nature.
Yeah.
And I understand that I don't want to take away from your formal kuleana to the larger organization. Just, I guess, in some of the discussions that I've been hearing, it did seem like from a protocol standpoint, perhaps that may have been necessary, or might be necessary in some form or fashion in the future. But if that's not the prerogative of the commission, then I'm okay just throwing it out there. Thank you.
I do want to take a quick pause. Does anyone have a quick question for Aaron? We do want to get him off to a meeting with a potential funder that we've set up for in the next few minutes, actually just behind Helumua. So any quick questions for Festival Director Salah? I'm happy to keep continuing to have the conversation here with the commission, but do want to get him out the door to go talk with potential funders.
Aaron, do you agree with what I said, the explanation that I gave about how the organizations work?
Yeah, so SPC is the overall umbrella. SPC has charged the Council for Pacific Arts and Culture. DPAC has engaged the FestPAC working group that has then, the levels of engagement are quite complicated. I think of course I'm going to defer to the commission, but the SPC seems to want to be able to, seems to want for us to look at them as open support system. And so, again, defer to the commission. They're very clear that this is a Hawaii host. And so they want to support Hawaii as host. If that makes sense, that the SPC join the commission per the commission's prerogative, I support that. If not, we still have a festival to host. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just add that, I'm sensitive to having them participate in the commission for a couple of reasons. The commission is an established body that is set up by Act 103D or 103. Sorry, I was being 103D. You can tell I'm thinking about procurement. I think we're Session Laws Act 103 from 2021, but 103D is a good law too. But I will say, I lost my train of thought. I will say, Senator Keokalole, I'm happy to coordinate and work with the SPC, through Aaron and Monty, who have been in touch with them. And I think that it's good that we stay close to them and garner whatever resources they have available to host countries in implementing the festival. I'm just sensitive to sort of making them a part of the commission more formally. Okay, mahalo. Any other thoughts or questions for the festival director? Sorry, I'm still stuck on that 103D.
Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to mahalo Commissioner Keokalole for bringing that up. I think I also wanted to know to what extent we could reach out and consult with and utilize the resources from SPC. So I think this is really clarifying to all of us. It's good to know that we can do that, and it's good to know that they're there to help us. So mahalo for this conversation.
Commissioner De Silva.
Thank you, Commissioner Benham. The SPC definitely wants to help us with anything that we want help with. They've been doing this, been supporting this for ages, so they're a lot smarter than any of us here in the room. And even though they also have turnovers in their organization, and they will tell us if they're able or not able to support something we ask them. So we should never withhold asking them for help on anything.
Yeah, there have been a number of points along this journey where they have, Miles in particular, has communicated their support to Hawaii and to not be afraid to ask. So, yeah. Okay, any other mana'o regarding agenda item number 6, Festival Director's Report?
I just want to give Aaron a lot of support next week when you go to meet with the SPC. They are wonderful people to work with. They're really supportive. They're very positive, very loving, and they're very excited about the festival being hosted here. Their obligation is to make sure, just like the commission's obligation is to make sure this festival is successful, the SPC's obligation is to make sure that that is successful, and that's really, what they're in for. So I think after your meeting next week, maybe you can come back to this discussion right here and give us a little more insight that you've gotten from Miles and Francis and Louisa. Okay, so yeah. Safe travels to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And so let me acknowledge too. Thank you, Commissioner De Silva, for that. I look forward to these meetings with Miles and Francis and the team. Let me also acknowledge the gravity of what Senator Keohokalole is talking about regarding, where we are with the fundraising. And in all honesty, if it were possible to get logistics help, I can do all the fundraising, or I can do all the logistics and get fundraising help. But now, now pulling the logistics together in preparation to do fundraising has now reared its ugly head, and it's quite a challenge. And so, as Chair has asked me to attend this meeting with a potential funder that started 3 minutes ago, so I do need to take leave, and I apologize for leaving before the meeting is over. But I just let me leave the commission with that it's sort of this cyclical thing. Somebody doing logistics and a team to help with logistics will help relieve some of the pressure so that fundraising can happen, or logistics needs to be or fundraising has to happen while logistics, they just sort of goes like that, right? So any insight or support to that end, I am open to, and I welcome, and I need. So let me leave that with you, Chair. Thank you for this meeting today, and the meeting that I'm off to right now. I've been just getting texts that they're just arriving at the lobby there, so I will take leave. Thank you all very much. Aloha.
For those of you who Olelo Hawaii, Pohaku Ele Ele might be a good clue as to whom he might be meeting with. I will leave it there. Anything else on the Festival Director's Report, agenda item number 6? All right, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 7. The Administrative Committee did not meet, therefore there's no report for us this month on agenda item number 7. I'm going to go ahead and move us to agenda item number 8, relating to the Venues and Programming Committee. Commissioner Love.
Mahalo, Chair. So our Venues and Programming Committee met on Wednesday, last Wednesday, the 21st. Quite honestly, we didn't have anything substantial, nothing to bring to this body to make decisions on, and much of what it was an update from the festival director. So basically, he's included in his report the things that I have listed in the minutes that we sent out this morning. So, but I will say, and I will just bring up the one thing that we did talk about, and Chair has already addressed, is the resolution that we had put on the agenda. So basically, there were some concerns about using this vehicle as a means of summarizing, and I understand, Chair, we wanted to have one place to sort of summarize all of the decisions that were made on the venues. There was just some concern, as was already stated, that using such a vehicle would require, if we need to make changes in some of the decisions that were made due to circumstances that might not be under our control with certain venues, then we would have to go back and issue another resolution to, basically override a previous resolution. So what we would like to do is maybe come up with another suggestion of how we can keep track of all of the decisions. So I will work with staff on that to try to come up with something that we can then share. Again, a sort of a repository for all of the decisions. So we have one place where we can see where everything, all the decisions that this body has made is captured in one document, one place. So Representative Onishi, I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add to that.
Just was concerned about the concept, which I agree with Chair, of trying to keep things well organized and sequential in nature for decision-making purposes. Would seem like the resolutions might be a good thing, but the nature of our committee, the venues and details of it, obviously have not been set yet and would change depending upon possible situations. And would we look at amending resolutions or doing a resolution that supersedes a resolution? You know, again, it becomes a lot of paperwork and, you know, possible confusion. So, you know, we at the venues committee discussion, we thought like having a document that we could share with all the commissioners on a regular basis, you know, that's updated, would be sort of like the budget, right? That I think we need to begin to start sharing so that it's a living, usable document, would be the best bet for how we would track and everybody would understand where we're at. So, yeah. And I appreciate Chair's consideration because I know it kind of came from us. And, you know, I think he fully understands, having been involved in governmental affairs for HTA, how it can be very challenging to try to keep track of these things. So, yeah, thank you.
We're gonna need an LRB for us pretty soon. No, just kidding. Commissioner De Silva, you had something? Okay. No, thank you for that report. Members, any questions for the the Venues and Programming Committee? Commissioner Benham.
So I really appreciated what you had put in the minutes. After I read all the whereases things, then I was able to sort of pull out all the different decisions that had been made over time. Did you at all talk about confirming some of these venues and begin to talk about MOUs? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Benham. So the festival director did indicate that we are close to reaching some agreements on some MOUs for these. I know the university is a big one. And then some of the satellite venues that we're looking at, Bishop Museum, I think he mentioned Polynesian Cultural Center. So
Yeah.
that's in the works.
Okay, thank you.
Any other, Commissioner Onishi?
Yeah, sorry to belabor this, but one of the things that we did discuss, which I think is really important to bring back to the commission, was the opening ceremony and the Parade of Nations. I think that discussion that we had, that I think came out of Commissioner De Silva's presentation last month in regards to the previous FestPACs, and I think the feeling that she mentioned about when you walked in with your contingency and the pride and the honor that was felt representing your, in Hawaii's case, the state and the US, and in other countries, their countries. I feel that's a significant activity that I would like, you know, to propose that we capture in our FestPAC. And that being said, we have discussed looking at the opening ceremony now be held at Ching Field at UH. And Aaron has open discussions with UH in regards to the use of Ching Field for the opening ceremony and a Parade of Nations, similar to what we all see like at the Olympics and stuff, right? I mean, you see an oval or something where, you know, countries can come in and, you know, we can have the public there and, you know, I mean, make it a, you know, an event that I think we as Hawaii and hosting would be very proud of, and having an activity opening ceremony that, is spectacular, and have countries, show themselves and have their pride on display. I don't know. I mean, I'm throwing this out to the rest of the commission. I really felt our last discussion that a lot of people thought it was a very positive addition to the opening ceremony, but I think we need to know if there is that support so that we should move forward with that activity. So I would like to hear other people's opinions.
I'm gonna start with a joke, so I will preface this. Maybe we'll do them at the New Aloha Stadium because the thing might be PAL by 2024. Okay, moving on.
Maybe we can all catch a train to get there. It'd be great.
All right, we're on a roll here. I will say that, I appreciate the convenience of Ching Field being close, being on campus, and the opportunity to do that. If this commission were to decide to go that way for the opening ceremony, I still feel very strongly that at some point we have some kind of welcome at Iolani Hale. Even if it's a VIP or distinguished guest or VVIP, right, head of state, head of delegation event at Iolani Palace to welcome them properly. I feel that that's still the right place for that caliber of our guests coming. And so if the more public event, as it were, we're at TC Ching Field, then, I'm open to it if this commission wants to go that way, but that's just my manao. Others? Commissioner Onishi, and then Commissioner Lum.
I'll let Commissioner Lum talk.
Thank you. Yes, we did discuss, and I think that was at the last venues committee meeting, actually, that we had kind of in-depth discussion about where to hold this Parade of Nations, and we talked about Ching Field. And then at the last meeting, talking about opening ceremony and Parade of Nations, and then I asked, oh, is it the same thing? And so I think we were looking at combining the two. I think the reason it was talked about separately when it was originally scheduled for 2020, because we were looking at doing the Parade of Nations as part of the Kamehameha Parade, I believe, Kamehameha Day Parade. And I think is my recollection. But I think we are still wanting to have something of significance at Iolani Palace. And I think you're right, Chair, that is appropriate. So definitely Iolani Palace would not be off the table for anything. We would be exploring ways to use it in a very significant way.
The one thing I would just, I would consider is my understanding is that the construction for the second phase of the seat expansion is scheduled to be completed in May of 24. And that would give me pause in our planning that the second phase would be finished or planned to be finished by 24. In a family of construction workers, supply chain is broken. So 24 is certainly May of 24. There's a little bit of a concern that I have that the field wouldn't be done with the second phase of seat expansions. And I'd hope that the commission and the committee consider that before bringing a formal question to this body.
Mahalo. We'll make sure we address that at the committee level. Thank you.
And I know, and I'm not totally clear, but I think one phase was like the football part, and then like the second phase is the lower campus soccer part. And so I don't know where all that is, but yeah.
Oh, ye of little faith, I tell you.
My apologies, Chancellor.
I do want to say that I support having the big shindig with the folks marching and whatnot in the stadium, and cross your fingers that it's done. I guess I don't see it actually at Iolani Palace. That's just the way that, I see that more as what you had suggested, Chair, as a special event for invited guests. Yeah, so I would support that. I just don't see that many people. You may disagree, but just, yeah.
Any other mana'o? And I just want to be clear, is the Venues and Program Committee asking this commission for any action on that today, or is that for us to nibble on and maybe take up later?
Yeah, no action on that today, because we want to, as you just brought up, make sure that, we have things in place.
Okay. Commissioner De Silva.
If we're looking at venue for that Parade of Nations and opening ceremony, that's similar to Ching Field. We have a lot of high schools, that probably might have the room to host something like this. I don't know, Kamehameha, Punahou come to mind, my two alma maters. So I think if that's the route we want to go, then we should look at what's available and what is, and not just like the venue itself, but we really have to look at how, the thing with Kamehameha is how to get people there, there and out. And then this is an event for the public as well. So we want to make sure we have enough room and ways for them to get there that's not going to be so frustrated that they're just going to not go. Those are my thoughts. I'm not on the venues committee, but those are things that just came to mind. Thank you.
So Commissioner De Silva, there's a great deal of parking, very easy, around. That's a great thing about Ching Field.
Yeah, but I am worried about what Kalani said about
that's right. Yeah.
And then the other thing, it makes it easier for us if the majority of everything is at UH, but I feel that is if I was a delegate, I'd want to see more than UH. And either at Kamehameha or at Punahou, I don't know if those venues would be able to have the capacity, but the view is beautiful. There are other things to offer with a venue than just what the facility can host. So I think we want to try and get a variety of that as well. And unless we are so constrained by our budget that we have to do everything at UH, and I would understand that because I'm not doing anything to help the budget. So, but just for things to think about as we're progressing and trying to really hone in and make decisions here, I think that the timing of making these decisions on venues is really, really important. If we don't have those venues in place by February next year, we're going to be up a creek with no paddle. And it's going to be harder and harder for us to, I want to be on the positive side of all of this. I want to be on the we're ahead of the game side of this, instead of like when we were planning in 2020, we felt like we were always trying to play catch up. And I'd like to not be in that situation again. So thank you.
Commissioner Hussey.
I just wanted to build on Commissioner De Silva's comments in terms of, bringing on University Hawaii. There's the large theaters. It's far, right? It's not UH, it's not in town. But if you think about parading of nations and the ground on the university side, but also the gathering space at Polynesian Cultural Center as well, the parking there as well. If we haven't thought about that, might we consider that? And if we need to have a conversation with the university and the new president there, well, he's not new, he's maybe a couple of years. But anyway, just building on Commissioner De Silva's thoughts on a venue.
Yeah, thanks, members.
Yeah, can I just add one comment, Chair?
Of course.
I would worry, Commissioner Hussey, about traffic jams and that it's too far, the public won't even go. And that, you know, a large part of the festival is so that we can bring these countries to our people here. And if we are choosing venues and situations that are difficult for them to attend, then we haven't done our job, in my opinion. Thank you.
Mahalo, members. From the Venues and Programming Committee, any other updates or things we need to take action on?
Nothing else, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. If you could advise me offline through staff, if there's something that needs to be agendized for future meetings, just to make sure we get that agendized if we need to. Okay. Alrighty, anything else? Last call. I know it's almost Pauhana time. Okay, gonna go ahead and move on to agenda item number 9. Members of the public, if you'd like to testify on any items that we've discussed today, please go ahead and unmute yourself and turn on your camera. Okay, thank you so much. Seeing none. Any announcements, commissioners? Okay, seeing none there, I'm gonna go ahead and actually, I forgot there was one. If you have not completed your ethics training, ethics for commissions training, please go ahead and make sure you completed that. I can follow up with members who haven't completed, so you know. So if you're not sure, I'll have staff follow up with you after this meeting directly if you're not sure if you're one of them. And then any other announcements? You get a cool certificate after. It's pretty nice. It's got like a logo, a little ribbon kind of deal. Hang on, Malia, I'm gonna keep going unless it's something really pressing. Okay, thanks. Next meeting is scheduled right now for October 17th. So that is the next meeting date for us. So please go ahead and mark your calendars for another fun and exciting episode of 13th Festival Pacific Arts Plan. If not, members, I thank you so much for your time, commitment, and aloha for each other and for this festival and the opportunity that it gives us to really bring our corner of the globe a little bit closer together in strengthening the pilina that we have. And really our power is in our pilina. And so this festival brings us that opportunity. And so with that, mana'o, I will adjourn our meeting today at 4:25 p.m. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Aloha.
Take good care. Be well.
Aloha.